Listen to and viewed from over 95 countries from around the world. This is the Gridcast, and I am your host, Danny Cox, and with me is my co-host. He's a box owner and a grid enthusiast. And when I called him Uncle Rabdo one day, he said, no, bitch, I'm Pukey the Clown.
Pukey!
His name is Conan Bruce. Conan.
What's up?
So what do we got on the show today?
Pukey doesn't talk much.
No, I guess not. He just pukes a lot.
I don't know. We're going to talk. I know this is a grid program.
Yes.
Right? But we're going to talk a little bit about the Reebok CrossFit Games.
We have to.
Because they just finished up, and it's awesome, exciting stuff.
Yep.
Lots of grid athletes in there.
Absolutely.
And there's some drama.
There's a little bit of drama. And what's kind of cool is that there's a little differing opinions out there, which is kind of fun to kind of play with and see. So anyway, that's in Quadrant 1. And in Quadrant 2, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but we have on August 9th in D.C., our hometown.
Right here.
We've got a couple matches. And so we're going to break down the first one, which is D.C. Brawlers versus the Baltimore Anthem.
You know what they're going to be playing on? A rig just like this one.
Oh, check that out.
Do you see that? We got a nice little pro grid rig right here in the house.
It was just finished about, this part of it was finished about 2 hours ago.
Yeah, we just finished raising this barn, and we're going to put the roof on Saturday. But, yeah, man, we're there.
Yeah, and then we have Taylor Drescher from the L.A. Reign for Quadrant number 3. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and start the show.
Let's do this.
We love to lift, laugh, and improve. This is Björk Odinsdatter.
So the Reebok CrossFit Games just came up this past weekend, and there's a little bit of controversy.
Before we get into there.
Yes, sir.
We are at a milestone episode 31. and I feel
Whatever
like
that means.
I feel like we should have a shot like we used to do, like back in the old days.
Back in the way back when.
Right.
Way back when.
We're just
All
going
right.
to kick it off with a little shot. Tap, tap. That's Tullamore Dew, little Irish whiskey.
I love that. That was nice.
That was an
Thanks,
ode to our
brother.
buddies.
From Ireland.
Over in Ireland.
The Celtic Fire.
Celtic Fire. Getting ready for you with a little Tullamore Dew.
Alan Fitzpatrick.
All right, let's do this.
All right.
Reebok CrossFit Games.
Yeah, so Reebok CrossFit
What's
Games.
the drama?
So there's a little bit of drama. So first, before we even start this, there's definitely a difference between CrossFit, the fitness methodology, and CrossFit Games.
The sport, yeah.
The sport. So we want to say that first, and also I want to say that this isn't necessarily our opinions that are going to be on here, at least the part that I share. I was actually, a lot of people reached out to me.
Oh, we got lots and lots of input.
Whole lot of input, and all of them wish to be anonymous. So we're not,
and it's not, but it's not necessarily just about being anonymous. It's because it really wouldn't be fair for because we're going to be generalizing, and kind of, so they're not here, right? So let's not put them out there when it's us talking.
Right.
But legit, like, we got swarmed with emails and text messages and SMS. Facebook messages.
Yeah.
Instagram posts. We got a few smoke
every
signals.
way you can possibly think of. Right. I got an owl from Hogwarts that came over. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. But so there are a lot of athletes that experienced injuries that were kind of kept down low. At least that's what we were told.
Well, meaning, like, they didn't come out. Nobody said it on social media, really. No, unless you knew the athletes and knew what was going on, you didn't hear the undertow of injuries, right? Which I don't know if that happens every year, maybe. But, like, this year there was, like, supposedly a lot higher number of injuries, and it was kept off the radar, basically.
Right. And some people came out on social media and said, welcome to the Reebok Rabdo Games. Yeah. Right? So, I mean...
Is that where your Uncle Rabdo comment came from?
Yeah, that's where it came in, of course.
I ain't had Rabdo in my whole life. I've given it a couple times.
Oh, yeah.
Went back before I knew how to program.
It kind of sucks, but that's all right. So, anyway, I want to talk about from the athlete's perspective. And
not making light of Rabdo, by the way.
No.
Bad thing.
So let's talk about if I'm an athlete. Clearly, I'm not a great athlete.
You just did Fran.
You are an athlete. I did just do Fran.
Yeah, that's why he's sweating, folks. He just did. We had Fran in the house today. We're doing benchmarks all week in this week in Providence. But anyway,
I saw that.
Carry on,
asshole. So anyway, so at the CrossFit Games, if you're an athlete that has been training for years. So let's take Ben Smith, for instance, last 7 years of the CrossFit Games. And you have said no to say, going out with friends, said no to family events, said no to all sorts of things because you had to concentrate on this one thing.
As most elite athletes have to.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're out there in Carson, California, and it's 95 degrees and you're running Murph with a 20-pound vest, and let's say you're fitzing a little bit, you're a little hot, you're not going to stop, right? You are going to remember those 7 years you've put into this, and you've gone through the grind, and then you've gone through the whole event and find out that, well, now you're an injured athlete. You've hurt your kidneys. You've really put yourself in a dangerous position. A lot of the people that expressed their opinions to us on social media and through email and stuff like that said that the CrossFit Games are a little irresponsible for doing that and the programming of it.
So the Games was irresponsible, meaning the CrossFit HQ putting on the games was irresponsible.
Good Lord,
man! Because this show is hot. This shit is. There's drama. There's no
frickin' Fran.
So here's the deal. That's it. That's the deal. Is like a lot of people out there are saying it was too dangerous. Heat. Programming was bad. What's the other thing? Just in general that it was that it didn't have to be that dangerous.
Well, let's talk about the numbers too before we go into the other side of it.
Okay.
There are 12 athletes reportedly, that's what I've been told, who experienced symptoms from rhabdo.
Okay.
12 out of the 80 athletes, and if you do the math, that's 13.75% of the athletes. So let's say you're a drug company and you're creating a new drug, right? And you're going through the trials. If more than 10% have a negative effect from the drug company, then that product doesn't get put out to the public. That does not get the FDA stamp.
Okay.
Right? So that's 13.75% of the people getting hurt. So if you want to take it from a different, standpoint, maybe there's something wrong there. You had athletes that passed out after Murph that didn't pop up didn't wake up until the medical tent, and then within an hour later they had to do a sprint snatch ladder.
But that happens to me every time I do Murph.
So true. Con Murph.
Mostly because we drink beer during Murph, but
and I saw it as pretty dangerous with the athletes from all the people that have come in and talked to us. There's a lot of concern about the danger.
Can I give my
CrossFit
opinion?
Games. Now, yes, go ahead.
Look at me dead in the eye, folks. Suck it the fuck up.
Wow.
Suck it up, Buttercup. You are testing for the fittest human alive, right? I'm going to be on the other side of this hate game because, and I know you're not on the whole side, Danny. I know we're expressing the views of many people that have expressed them to us.
Yes.
This particular view is Conan's. Okay.
Okay.
And I'm not putting it on anybody else, but I think there's going to be a few other people. I know immediately people are going to say, "Oh, you drink the Kool-Aid. You're a CrossFit affiliate owner. You're beholden to HQ." I promise you, if you call anybody at CrossFit HQ, they either A, don't know who the hell I am, or B, don't like me.
Oh yeah, well that's a
and there's a
true.
pretty good chance a lot of it's B. Right?
Stop trying to pick fights with people, and then maybe that wouldn't happen.
I've never had a great relationship with CrossFit HQ. It's mostly because I don't like authority. Although I spent all my life in the government and the military.
Also, you smell bullshit from a mile away.
Right. I am not a fan of a lot of the personalities at CrossFit HQ. Not a fan. They know it. No big deal. I'm not going to name names. It doesn't matter. The problem is I can separate that, though, from what they do as an organization at the CrossFit Games and how that's played out. Now, let's back up. 2009. I'm going to read a quote from 2009. And I'll tell you who said the quote here in a second. So, quote, "The winner of the CrossFit Games has the right to say, 'I am the fittest person on the planet.' That has to be a grueling test. If it's not, then it's not a legitimate test of the fittest person. There is a chance you may die." Unquote. That quote, Tony Budding.
Wow.
The guy that created Grid.
Wow.
Right? Where I'm going with this, not to put Tony Budding either in the spotlight or on a pedestal or anything, but here's the guy that created the sport that we love. Right?
Oh, yeah.
We love Grid.
And we also love CrossFit.
Oh.
Just to let you know, we love both sports, and we think that we can live in the same planet, hold hands, and sing Kumbaya, right?
But what I want to point it out is, first of all, there's no comparison to what happened this weekend or the past week to Grid. If you come on into this argument and somehow wrap Grid into it, man, you're stupid. Like, get away from it.
Right.
Grid is not compared to this. It is like comparing football to Grid.
And
right?
the only thing that you can say that would between Grid and CrossFit Games are the athletes that competed at the CrossFit Games who now have to compete in 2 or 3 weeks.
Right. So it would be no different than us comparing weightlifting as a sport to CrossFit and saying, oh, there's no comparison. It's a different sport. So let's just say that it's a different sport. Now let's get back to the games. I'm on board with it from day one. When you go back to the first initial CrossFit Games all the way forward, look, CrossFit in general, it came from the core group of athletes back in the day, long before there was a CrossFit Games, came from the military, law enforcement community, firefighters, people that were kind of on the edge, and their job required that, right? So they were willing to push those limits a little bit. When they created the games, it's always been out front that, hey guys, if you show up, like, put your big girl panties on, because it's going to be miserable.
Yeah.
And it didn't start in 2015 that they said, oh, we're going to make it miserable. Dude, go back to 2009. Go back to 2011. It's always been miserable. The difference
So
is...
it was miserable when they grabbed a softball and threw it as far as they could?
So that, I think, was selling out.
Okay.
I think that was saying, we got to test a skill, and we're going to... when they hit a freaking pole with a sledgehammer... I don't know if that's it.
But that is a test of athleticism, isn't it?
Now I want to get off the Kool-Aid stand for a second, and I do want to point out one of the things that drove me freaking crazy during this CrossFit Games and listening to the commentary was they spent I wanted to time it, like every 45 seconds. One of the commentators would say, and this is an incredible test of fitness because you would have to, and blah, blah, blah. Right? And I'm going, are you trying to convince me or yourself?
Right. Yes.
Who are you trying to convince? We know it's the damn CrossFit Game. Stop trying to tell me that it's the test of fitness. We got it.
Right.
But are you trying to convince yourself or the new viewer? Right? Like, oh, this is a test of fitness. Like, we got it. Like, no, it is a test of fitness. And if you're going to say you're the fittest mofo on the planet, I want you to do Murph. I want you to get on a pegboard. I want you to swim in the ocean. I want you to do all kinds of crazy shit because that's the test. Here's the thing that people lose track of. CrossFit is not a test. CrossFit, a methodology for fitness, is not a test. You should not get rhabdo doing CrossFit. If you do, leave your gym. Right? It may be your fault, but it's probably the gym's fault. Right? Yep. Particularly if they've had a pattern of it. If you have injuries constantly in a CrossFit gym, leave that gym. Go to a better gym. I'm not saying you should have injuries in CrossFit, and you absolutely shouldn't. But the CrossFit Games, look, when you show up to Ranger School or BUDS or Special Forces qualification or Marine Sniper School or any of these, and I'm of course I'm using military references because that's my background. When you show up to these schools, let's just take Ranger School, for example, in the Army. Big school for a lot of infantry people. It's like the creme de la creme. I want that little patch that says Ranger on it, right?
Right.
These guys... And now, soon-to-be gals, I think, are actually going through it. But, they will die to get that patch.
Okay, but there's a difference between the CrossFit Games and the military where you're going to go try to fight for your country. Okay, this is a sport. This is the game.
But those guys aren't really fighting for their country in Ranger School. They're fighting for that damn patch. And I think most of them would agree with that. If you talk to guys in the military who go through airborne school or go through infantry training or go through any training, it doesn't have to be. You just go towards the more elite you want to be, the more it's going to suck to get it. And if you want to call yourself the fittest mofo on the planet, right? If you got rhabdo in the games, you were ill prepared.
Ooh.
Ill prepared. Because listen, you knew it was going to it's freaking July in California. You didn't know it was going to be 90-some degrees?
Dude, that's rough.
Did it just become hot
But you're talking about 12 athletes out of 80. That's
exactly.
a high percentage.
I don't think it is.
Okay.
I think they should have drank more water.
So let's take a look at this then. So CrossFit.
Is there a divisive field here?
So the CrossFit as a sport. So every other sport out there.
Kool-Aid.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird hearing you talk like this.
I know, man.
I'm not used to
There's
this.
a reason why I've been a CrossFit affiliate owner since 2010 and a CrossFit coach since 2007 is because I believe in the fitness methodology. I easily separate that to the games, and I allow them, in my mind, this is, again, me talking, I allow them to do whatever the hell they want to those suckers that show up to the games. Because, first of all, I consider them suckers.
I feel like I'm in the land of Oz, though. It feels weird.
Because they're suckers. You are doing this to your body for a medal around your neck. I don't consider athletes in professional sports like our favorite sport,
grid.
to be suckers, because you know what? It's a job. It's a profession. You are a professional athlete. Nobody has ever said that CrossFit athletes, and I know a lot of people are going to get pissed off at this opinion, and I'll bring the hate. Nope, I don't remember anybody from CrossFit HQ ever calling those athletes professional athletes, because they're not necessarily paid to do what they do.
Okay, but
Right.
we've always said that there's a difference between the fitness methodology and the sport of CrossFit. And if you look at it from a sports standpoint, you look at other sports, football, baseball, they've tried to make the athletes safer over time. At least it looks like that in the public.
Sure.
You can make the argument and say that was just for dressing, right?
Could HQ and Reebok, and I would argue that somebody in maybe, I don't know Reebok, I don't know, but there's probably somebody with an accountant on one side and a lawyer on the other that's looking at HQ going, you need to soften this shit up a little bit and don't kill people.
Sure. And
they're probably right. They are probably right. There's no reason to make it dangerous. There is no reason to make it dangerous. We shouldn't do the paddleboard with sharks rolling around us.
No.
That shouldn't be included.
Right.
I'm not saying that it's okay that athletes
Which there
get
was,
hurt.
by the way.
I know.
Someone took a picture of the shark right before before the actual event.
I don't think that athletes should get hurt. Don't miscommunicate that. But if you are an elite athlete, right, and you know what you're getting into, there is risk.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to die.
There's risk for an athlete standpoint, in my opinion, going out there and pulling a hammy, right, like Neil Maddox.
Yeah.
Okay, or breaking a rib, right? That is expected as a noted risk, right? I know I'm going to risk that. I don't go in there thinking I might get rhabdo and die.
Oh, you should know that. It should be on your list of things that might happen.
But if I'm already working out 6 hours a day, I don't think I'm going to get rhabdo if I show up to the CrossFit Games, and nor should I be put in that position.
I don't know. I don't agree.
No?
No, I mean, as an elite athlete, I think each one of those athletes that got rhabdo, I think each one of those athletes that pulled a hammy or broke a finger or fell off something and got hurt, I think they kind of knew what they were getting into. I think if you ask that athlete, they'll be like, this sucks, man. I want to come back next year and not get rhabdo, right? I want to win. And Ben Smith, who, by the way,
Billy Boy Smith.
By the way, love the kid.
Yes.
Love him. I've been following him since I was judging in the regionals. First time I judged him in handstand push-ups in the sprint.
Family's awesome, too. Love Alex Smith, too.
Dude crushed it, and I was like, this guy's not going anywhere. So I'm happy that he finally is standing on the podium.
Yeah.
Anyway, bottom line is, I think we're probably going to have to agree to disagree on some of these points.
Yes.
I think our fans might be going, can we talk about grid now?
So let's talk about grid.
Yeah.
So the athletes that did experience rhabdo, or let's just say that they made it through the games, right?
Right. They just made it, period.
Right. They made it all the way through, and they
Are they going to be ready to play grid?
Minutes. There's no way in hell those guys are going to help the teams out by August 9th.
Right. So if I was a coach,
maybe at the end of August or into September.
If I was a coach of a grid athlete, I would beg them not to go to the CrossFit Games.
Right. And let's look at other sports.
Because it's not good for you.
If you are a professional football player, guess what? You can't go downhill skiing.
No, and they won't even let you go run a marathon, much less downhill ski.
Some athletes who are like, let's say you're a football player, have to write in their contract, I'm allowed to play full court basketball with my friends on once a day. And that's part of the contract that they actually have to say, this is what I'm allowed to do and what I'm not allowed to do off the field.
I think you're going to see, in years to come, you're going to see MPGL players that are not allowed to participate in the CrossFit Games. If the CrossFit Games stays at this level, which I think it should, I think it should be grueling. If you want to call yourself the fittest on the planet, be it. But if you're going to play,
and I think there's other ways to test fitness.
But if you're going to,
that's okay.
I think you test fitness with a golf ball. But I think grid players need to look hard and fast. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? Do you want to be a professional athlete, have a good career, stay healthy, be good at your job, at your career, and do a lot of good things that you can be from being a professional athlete? Then I think you should do it. If your goal is to stand on that podium, then you got a conflict.
Yep.
I think you got a conflict.
All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the August 9th matches. So we got the Baltimore Anthem versus the DC Brawlers, and let's get into that in Quadrant 2.
Good deal. See you there. And we're back. Now we're done talking about the CrossFit Games. Let's talk about the grid.
I'm glad we hugged it out, too.
We did.
All right. So DC, the first match of the day is going to be DC Brawlers versus the Baltimore Anthem.
Home match for, I keep saying home game, damn it. It's just habit.
It is.
Home
right?
match.
Yeah.
Home match for, I know, right.
Okay.
Home game in Maryland, I know.
So race 1 is partner forward, and it's 5, 4, 3, 2 reps of snatches, which go from 155 pounds to 245, and females 105 to 145, and box jump overs. So here's how I see it. So the males from the Baltimore Anthem were very strong last time, and I think they're going to be strong this time as well. I think that also you're going to see that
unless Matt Frazier shows up, he's going to be tired.
No. Matt Frazier, I got confirmation.
Just kidding.
Confirmation. Matt Frazier is not joining the Baltimore Anthem.
Oh, okay.
So he's not coming this season.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You know why? It's going to take him 6 months to recover.
I know, right? Did you see him try to pick up those kettlebells?
Dude, I feel bad.
All right. Anyway, off CrossFit.
I know.
All right. So, Kristen Wagner is going to be extremely strong on that partner forward race. So I actually see Baltimore taking the first race 2-1.
All right.
Yeah. So it's going to be 2-1 after the first race. The second one's going to be the mirror, which is going to be 40 thrusters. I see that the women and the men of the DC Brawlers are going to be even enough that they're going to actually win that match.
They're going to take Baltimore on that.
Yeah, because the Baltimore isn't deep enough, I don't
Right.
think, in order to take that one. Now, races 3 and 4 are the female echoes. Now, the females for the Baltimore Anthem are not as good as the DC Brawlers. They're just not. I love you, Tracy. Sorry.
Yeah.
And I know Kristen Wagner is a beast. But Hannah Caldas was a little slower than the other ones, and I love you too, Hannah Caldas. But
however,
a little bit.
Yeah.
And then you got Taylor Stallings and Becca Day, and that's really hard to defeat them.
And it's just hard to it's just hard.
Yeah.
It's just hard to beat that.
Yeah, and it starts with deadlifts, heavy deadlifts, and it ends with 40 ground to overheads.
Yeah, and that's their jam.
Yes, totally their jam.
They're going to just.
So the girls are definitely going to take that. Now, however, on the flip side, the men's echoes, I think Baltimore's going to take both of those.
You think
because,
so?
Yeah, and the reason why is, in my opinion, and I know it goes against what Justin Kotler said, and when I asked him at the interview, right?
Justin's going to love this part.
Sorry, Justin. But I think that the men have taken a little bit of a step back.
Yeah.
And Baltimore's men are really strong at the front end of a race, of a match.
Right.
I don't think that their stamina is going to hold through the whole match, and then the men are actually going to beat them in the triads later.
I'm going to agree with you.
Yeah, but I think that Baltimore isn't going to be as strong at the end, but they are going to be strong in the echoes. So Baltimore is going to take both of those.
All right.
Then comes the ladder, and that is a clean ladder. And I see that DC is going to win in both of them. I don't think that Baltimore is deep enough in the men. They do have Klokoff, who's going to probably beast every single one of those out.
Yeah.
Right?
But it's one guy.
But it's one guy. And the women are definitely stronger on DC Brawlers. So they're definitely going to take the women's extra point and the total.
Yeah.
For sure. Race 8, Jack and Jill. I can see it going either way here. Alex Smith for Baltimore is really boisterous. I think that he's going to be amazing.
So what is the Jack and Jill?
So the Jack and Jill this time is going to be 60 handstand push-ups at a 5-inch deficit. Then you have 30 handstand push-ups at a 10-inch deficit. And then 10 freestanding handstand push-ups.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it can go either way here. This is going to be a tough one.
Yeah, it's gonna be borderline.
But I did see that Baltimore towards the later races weren't as good, in San Jose at least, as any of the other teams. They really rocked it the first 6 races or so, but then they started dying out. So this is why I think I'm going to give this one to DC.
Because I think Alyssa Ritchie's going to eat that like Oreos.
Oh, yeah. She is powered by Oreos.
Yeah, I know she's going to eat that away.
She lives on her hands.
I know,
right? She told us that she goes to the grocery store on her hands. And by the way,
who does that?
We interviewed her on one of the shows, so take a look at that one. I can't remember which number it was, but we're in South Carolina.
It was before episode 31.
It's definitely
prior
before
to
31. So if you're keeping track of the score without any bonus flags or anything like that, it would be DC 13, Baltimore 11 after race 8.
It's close.
They're really close. But then comes the women's triads and the men's triad. So this is where I think that DC starts to pull away.
Yeah, because I think DC's got the stamina.
Heck
right?
yeah, absolutely.
They got the stamina. We know they do. They do. And
Collard also knows where to use his athletes.
And it's going to be interesting to see whether Garrett, and it's not on Garrett as much as it is the athletes. Have they prepared themselves? Have they done whatever it is Garrett's told them? Have they prepared themselves for this kind of late match performance?
there are quite a few athletes on the Baltimore Anthem that were participating in the CrossFit Games.
That's what I was waiting for you to say.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's recovery, right? I mean, I don't care if you're an elite athlete. It takes a while to recover no matter what. And here's what people are going to find in grid is it's such a high-intensity sport, so quick, right? But then it lasts. You've got an hour and a half, 2-hour window that it doesn't let up.
Right.
That's very different than a throwdown throughout the day with 3 events.
Yes.
Right? If you go to a functional fitness throwdown and I've got to do 3 events over the day, that is a different type of endurance.
Absolutely.
Very different type of endurance.
Absolutely. So that's the men's triad and the women's triad. I think it's definitely going to go to DC. And by that point, the points aren't going to matter anymore, and DC is going to take it by the end. But let's just talk about race 11 because I really like race 11. Sprint relays are really fun.
Yeah, I think fans do too.
Yeah, you have wall balls, overhead squats. You have 2 45-pound dumbbell hang snatches, which that's going to be kind of dope to watch.
Sounds
you
horrible.
have a handstand walk. Alyssa Ritchie's just going to piece that out. She's going to own that. Right. 9 bar muscle-ups, 90 double unders. 9 burpee to 9-foot ring touch, not 10-foot ring touch.
Yeah, they lowered it a little bit.
Yeah, and then 9 clean and jerks at 225 pounds.
Yeah, I don't see there's a few in there that are just non-events, right? For any athlete on any team.
Yeah.
They're just going to whoop.
Yeah,
right,
no problem.
done,
Like the
right?
double unders.
Yeah,
it's
like whatever. 90 of
what's
them.
What's the point?
Who's the sucker that has to do those, right? Boring.
Exactly. But I see the final score 20-13. If any bonus flags are thrown, which normally aren't thrown until later,
could wiggle that around a little
races.
bit. But I agree. I think you're going to see DC win. I think you're going to see a hard fight from Baltimore. I think they're hungry. I think they want to prove themselves. I think this is going to be a really good match to watch.
Yes.
If you're in the D.C. area, even if you're anywhere in the Mid-Atlantic, I think you want to come in for that weekend.
Absolutely.
You want to watch
it. And the tickets are on sale right now. You should go check them out. And the race right after that is the New York Rhinos versus the Boston Iron. Yeah, sorry.
Those Iron guys?
God, Fran is still getting me. I swear, this is crazy.
He feels fantastic right now. So we're gonna talk about that on next episode.
On the Naked episode? Are we doing a Naked episode? This is scary.
We are. We're gonna have to have big blurry lines right here.
A big blurry line. All right. So on our next quadrant, we have Taylor Drescher from the LA Reign.
All right.
Hey guys, welcome to Quadrant 3. We're really excited about having Taylor Drescher on from the LA Reign. How you doing?
Hi, doing good.
I can't believe it's sunny there. It is really dark here. It's been dark for a minute, and it's like 6:30 there, and I'm really jealous because...
Yeah, let me just show you guys how gorgeous it is right now.
Oh, please don't.
Oh, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Oh, man. Man, the view looks great. That is a great view.
Awesome.
That's the yard.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now I'm jealous.
I'm really jealous. So when we come out, are you in LA?
I live in Oceanside.
Okay, so when we come to the Anaheim matches, we're staying at your house. Just want to let you know.
Yeah, I got enough room for everyone.
Sweet. Nice. For the whole team Gridcast?
Yeah, sure.
So there's 20 of us.
20 of us.
There's only 20 of
no
us.
big deal.
All right, so we saw you out in LA during the LA Pro Day. And so if anybody wants to check that out, you can see it on Off the Grid. You can see
You
Taylor
can see
Drescher.
that?
Yeah, you can see it on YouTube.
I've never seen it.
Well, you should look us up on YouTube and watch it yourself. We definitely interviewed you out there. I hope you remember that. Don't you remember this?
Of course
face?
I remember that, but I've got to go inside. It's like so sunny I can't even see you guys.
Oh, God. Now you're just rubbing it in.
Yeah. No, I remember that. I just never watched it or listened to it or anything.
Okay, so tell us a little about, if no one has seen you on that other Off the Grid, if they're just meeting you for the first time, tell us a little bit about your athletic background.
Guess what sport I played? Do you guys know?
Yes.
So you can't guess. It's not fair.
We don't.
Well, I was a competitive cheerleader for 15 years.
Yes.
And I cheered at the University of Louisville. And we won 3 national titles when I was there, and then a world championship when I was there.
A world championship?
Yeah, that was actually on an all-star team, so it wasn't it wasn't college affiliated, but a lot of the teammates were the same girls from my college team.
Okay.
What
did you do for the cheerleading? Were you someone that threw someone else, or were you one of the people that were getting thrown?
What do you think?
I think you probably were throwing someone else.
Yeah, I was the tallest one on the team. So my position, I was a back spot.
Okay. Awesome. So then how did you get into the military?
Well, my grandfather was in for 33 years. My dad was in for like 25 years, and I was always in love with the Marine Corps growing up. And I never thought that I would join until I was 19 years old. I had just started CrossFit, and my dad was doing a lot of work with the Wounded Warrior Project. And so I was in Nashville for the summer, where I'm from, in Tennessee. And my dad had a bunch of the Wounded Warriors staying with us at our house. And they all came out from all over the world to go to the CMA Festival, which was like a week-long country music concert. And there was tons of backstage passes and shows for other wounded veterans. And one of the wounded veterans that I met, he was an above-the-knee amputee, and he was a Marine. And he was so inspiring. And then his wife was the first female Marine that I'd ever met. And so kind of after that, I told my dad I wanted to join the Marine Corps. And he didn't believe me. He didn't think that I would stick with it and actually pursue it. He thought I was just like motivated from seeing all of them, and that would wear off. But I stuck with it.
Yeah, and you've been in it for a while. How many years have you been in the military?
Only 2 years now. Got at least 2 to 3 more years left, but I've been in for about 2 years now.
Did you do like ROTC at school at all?
I went to officer candidate school in between my junior and senior year during the summer.
Okay, so then how did you get yourself into grid recently, and how did you finagle your way in from the military to allow you to be able to do grid?
Well, I'm very persistent about accomplishing my goals, no matter how long they take me to do them.
You don't say.
And I met Lindsay Valenzuela through my old coaches, Shane and Laura Phelps Sweat. I was the head coach at CrossFit Conjugate with them in Cincinnati, and they started working with Sam Briggs, and they do all of her strength work. And Lindsay and Sam were training partners a while ago, so they got me hooked up with Lindsay Valenzuela, and I came out when I got stationed in Camp Pendleton. I went to go train with her at Dogtown. And James Townsend was working out there, and then Dusty Highland obviously was always there because he was co-owner of the gym and her coach. And so we always worked out together. I would like to go, it's been about a year now since I started training there on the weekends whenever I can get away from work. And they just mentioned about the grid and that I should try out for the combine and come see what it was all about. And so I did. And then I requested it with the Marine Corps and got everything approved. Did a ton of paperwork to make sure that it was all, okay and allowed. And I just take some time off from work during the training camps and for the matches. And as long as I am getting everything done at work and, maintaining that the Marine Corps is my number one priority, I'm allowed to compete on the grid. So it's nice.
Well, I think that every competition you've had is pretty much going to be in California, so it's not like you have to travel very far away. Except,
right.
Do you compete in Miami?
No.
Or is that Phoenix?
Maybe.
Oh, that's
I'm
Phoenix.
not sure, but
that's Phoenix. No. You're actually all in California. I forgot that was Phoenix and Miami. That's going to be down there.
So you being stationed out at Pendleton, was LA really the only team you could have possibly played for?
And by the way, if anybody hears him, that's our good old buddy Tyler, and you might not be able to see him on the screen because he's a little further out. But that's Tyler. Here, come on, swing by and say hello to everybody. Hey, look at that. He's always behind the camera though. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. I talked to a couple coaches at the combine, and even leading up like the day before the combine from some other teams, and they were interested in having me on their team, and I pretty much told them no.
Well, all right.
I mean, there was several, obviously work was the biggest thing, is that I couldn't travel far with work, and LA is only about 2 hours away from where I work, so even if I have to come back to work, I can. And then I wanted to compete on the same team as Lindsay and Chelsea Grigsby and James and all of that. So I was set on being on LA.
Okay, so what has your experience with Grid been like since we saw you out in the LA Pro Day? Is it everything you thought it would be?
I love it. I can't wait to get back in August. We start training again, like the second week of August, and then I can't wait for our match. Mainly, I just miss my teammates. Like, we clicked so well. All the girls on the Reign are really, really talented, and we just push each other very well. We work good together. So I'm really looking forward to seeing them, and that's what I'm looking forward to most. And then competing, obviously, is the fun part. We work really hard at practice, but then competing is awesome. And yeah, I'd have to say that competing on the grid was one of the greatest experiences I've had competing. It was just fun being able to go out and do what I was good at and then get off the floor.
You also have an amazing ritual with Kenny Leverage with your handshake, foot clap thing. That was pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, he told me, he's like, if we don't win the first race, we're not doing our handshake. So
no! Oh, well, so let's talk about a little bit about the elephant in the room. What do you think about your coaching change out in LA?
Oh, that. You know what? I would not be on the grid or on the LA team if it wasn't for Dusty. I think a lot of the athletes are very loyal to him, and that's the reason that they started the grid. For example, Lindsay, Kenny, Noah, a lot of them have worked with Dusty, and Dusty's a great athlete, and he's a great coach. And our job as athletes is to just do what we're good at, and that's compete and go out on the grid and win matches. And we just have to understand that it's a business. And Dusty, when that all happened, that obviously was not the athlete's decision. It's the owner's decision, and it's their team, and they're the ones investing their money. So we have to just kind of understand and respect our owner's decisions. We don't necessarily have to agree with them. We're all still really supportive of Dusty and sad that he's not with us, but we understand that it's a business and they made that decision. So at the end of the day, we just have to respect our owners and still can be loyal to Dusty at the same time. So it will definitely be sad not having him there and different, but we all like Max. I think he's a good fit for the team, and he's definitely has a lot of experience coaching. So.
Speaking of Max, is Max helping out with any of the programming or testing or anything like that right now, or is Dusty still involved?
Yeah, Dusty's not involved with the coaching anymore, and Max stays in contact with a lot of the athletes that still need to improve a little bit more before some of our next matches, and he leaves that programming available to anyone on the team that wants to do it, and he'll send out emails and check in with us. But for the most part, I stick to conjugate, and I do the Westside Barbells conjugate method, and I'm a barbell mover, so...
You don't say.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10, if I don't have enough time to, get in tons of things at the gym, I just always make sure I get in my strength training and a little bit of conditioning. Most of my training is just strength training, though. Yeah,
whatever you're doing is the right thing, because you are a kick-ass player on the grid and definitely a standout star. And I think rookie is just not the right term for you. I think that you hold yourself as a very experienced athlete and you really kick ass.
Thanks.
Yeah, so I appreciate you coming on the show with us. Thanks a lot for joining us. Oh, you have a question? Oh, sorry. He's got a question. Excuse me. Go ahead, Tyler. You're up.
I guess this may be...
Okay.
So I saw, obviously the games just ended. You reposted something during the games that I'm sure you got a little bit of backlash over because it was quite the controversial post, but I really liked it. But so it was about the social media athletes and how they're much more popular than most of the actual athletes, but for probably not the right reasons. So I was wondering if you could kind of just get into that a little bit.
Yeah, that was an interesting topic that I discussed with a lot of individuals this weekend, and then it was kind of ironic that post was put on social media, and I read it, and I just had to repost it. I am very outspoken, and I sometimes can get me in trouble, but I also just am really passionate about standing for what I believe in. And I've had the privilege of being around really hardworking individuals who are really, really humble. For example, Laura Phelps Sweat, Westside Barbell world record powerlifter, one of the world's strongest women, and she's just one of the most humble people I've ever met. And she's well respected, and she's very, she treats everyone as she would want to be treated, and she just taught me a lot about, how to treat other people and be successful, but help other people along the way. And to me, that's really like what it's all about, is the journey, the type of individual that you are throughout your journey, and who you can help and who you can inspire. And I don't have a lot of patience really for like athletes who are just famous for posting pictures of themselves half naked. I mean, I understand that sex sells, and that's just the society that we live in, but it doesn't mean it's acceptable. It doesn't mean it's okay. My grandparents are very religious people. I'm a really religious person as well, and they just taught me different morals and values that I like to hold myself to. And especially as a woman, a hardworking woman in a male-dominant profession, being a Marine, it's really hard to earn that respect, and your reputation means a lot. So once it's earned, it's something that you can be proud of. And I would just want the younger generation to be proud of who they become and not think that it's acceptable to just be known for your body or your sex appeal, because that's not the only thing that, we have to offer. And I understand that, there's also a business to this side as far as like investing in yourself as an athlete, because you can pick up sponsors, you can pick up people who want to invest in you and your journey. And I understand that. I think that's great. But there's also athletes, like Lindsay Valenzuela, for an example, is just, I look up to her because she has a different set of morals and values, and she's very humble and she's successful, but she doesn't post those kinds of pictures of her to get more people to like her. She's just herself, and she just works really, really hard. So I respect that, and I just don't really respect a lot of other females who are just kind of well known for their body, and they maybe have a great story, and they maybe are great people. It's just, I don't respect everyone. I think respect is earned. It's not given. And it's kind of like the easy way to get people to like you and follow you. I mean, it's like when you're in high school, everybody knows the girl who slept with the whole football team. Everybody knows their name, but it's not necessarily a good thing to know their name. So.
Wow, that was
awesome.
That was
Awesome.
About the best description. I thought that was just going to be a little close, but wow, that's great. So I really appreciate you joining us on the show. Can you see us?
Yeah, sorry, we were frozen. I think I was like talking so much that the camera had to catch up or something. It froze.
Oh, well, we saw you the whole time,
Yep.
so it's perfect there. So I really want to say thank you for joining us on the show. It's really fun. I'm glad that we got to catch back up with you since the LA Pro Day, and we're really excited to catch up with you again when we head out to the Anaheim matches. So thanks a lot.
You're going to be there?
Oh, yeah,
second-
absolutely. The
the
second
second
one.
Anaheim matches.
The second Anaheim matches.
Okay.
The
Sweet.
September...
Championship week.
Yeah,
We'll be
championship week.
All right, cool.
All right, well, thank you very much for joining us on the show. We'll see you later.
Thanks.
Bye, guys. Have
All
a good
right,
one.
bye.
All right, guys, been a great show. Great interview with
Taylor Drescher.
Yeah, it's a great interview. I'm almost at the end of my beer, and although it looks like I've only drank half, this is actually
been filled up a few times.
It's been filled up several times during this taping, and we had to do a couple of reshoots, so that was actually like 4 shots. So I'm probably a little loopy. Here's the thing: I'm gonna. You get to say the last word. You always do.
Yeah, I do.
But before we get to the last word, I'm gonna say it again. Suck it up, Buttercup.
Oh, snap.
That's all I got.
And with that said, subscribe to our iTunes feed, subscribe to our YouTube feed, hit us up on Facebook. And if you have anything about our discussion in Quadrant 1 that you want to put your 2 cents in, make sure to comment on our Facebook.
I'll give you $100
post.
if you play this for Dave Castro. Personally, I'll give you $100.
Please do that. Just
I'll give you
please,
$100.
Please do that. Until next time, guys, clean up your jerks and snatches, drink your beer in batches, and always dominate your grid matches. See you later, guys.
Cheers.